page of this Think Forward document and change the topic to talk about the actual services we might provide. I want to be really clear, this Think Forward document really only looks at reading and math as being the two primary areas of concern. So it is not, again, it's not comprehensive. It's not intended to address science or social studies. Not that it couldn't be added to, but at this point, the focus is on reading or math. And in talking about the services, the 45-45 services, what I'd like to start with is let's keep first things first. And particularly given the year that we've had, how could we think about 45-45 services, particularly if we're going to be providing some or all of the services in the summer, whether those are provided in June or whether we're planning to do a summer school in July, or maybe even if we're planning to do an early start summer school in August, right before the beginning of the 22-23 school year. Regardless of when in the summer we might be providing the services, can we kind of keep first things first? And one of the first things I would ask that we think about or recognize is these are students that have just gotten news that they have not been successful. After working really hard all year in 21-22, they get the cold, hard news they weren't successful on a test. And let's connect with kind of how that feels to students. So we're working with we can anticipate, especially during the summer, that many of our students are going to feel discouraged, depressed, sad, maybe a little angry about the results. So those are the children that we'll be working with. What about, what's the social emotional expectation among the adults that might be participating in our summer? And I'm going to guess that we have an awful lot of teachers who are going to feel a little bit like this, tired, frustrated, struggling. So I think it's important that we recognize that the again, social emotional component of the individuals who are going to be participating in this activity, the summer school activity. So what if, in thinking about summer 2022, what if we were to focus on fun? Could we significantly move the needle on our teacher sense of commitment, our students' sense of success, confidence, competence? What if we were to focus a lot on fun, perhaps instead of too much looking backwards? The statutory provisions relating to the services to be provided in 45-45, I'm going to highlight the two that I think are the most critical, that it consists of targeted instruction designed to help the student to achieve satisfactory performance in the applicable grade level and subject area. So with that, those two particularly, what if, in looking at reading or math, I'm going to start with that far left-hand column. What if we thought about summer by focusing on fun? Fun standing for future learning. Certainly one of the key underlying concepts of 45-45 is the concern about learning gaps from the prior year. But if our focus is backwards towards that prior year, towards the year that just finished, what I think we have the tendency to do is to reinforce failure for students who just received notice of failure. So what if, instead of looking backwards to fill learning gaps just for the sake of filling learning gaps, what if we looked forward to the most critical learning for the future school year, and then filled in the learning gaps that were the most necessary for future learning? So what if it were future focused? What if it were about uplifting and supporting students to establish new confidence and new competence? And again, with a group of students which I think are likely to have very low confidence about whether they have the competence to learn. So what if our work was all about building confidence and competence? And what if our mantra was preview, pre-teach, and prepare instead of review, reteach, and repair? So with all of that kind of as a mantra, what if we looked at math towards the summer, anchoring on the grade levels that students are going to be enrolled in 22-23? So those grade levels would be fourth grade and above, because we don't have a second grade STAR test for students to perform unsatisfactorily on. So what if we anchor on the curriculum for the coming school year, fourth grade or above? And what if in each grade level, we identified those high impact key concepts that are going to be part of instruction for next year? I think it's pretty clear that students who are unsuccessful on STAR in the spring of 22 are going to struggle on the key concepts, high impact concepts for the following school year. So I think we can assume that any student who fails to perform satisfactorily on STAR would highly benefit from targeted instruction, helping the student prepare, get a preview of next year. So we've put together a set of suggested text clusters that could serve as the foundation for the math 45-45 services in the summer. Clearly, students would not be ready. Kids who failed third grade math are not going to be ready for full fourth grade curriculum during the summer, but we use that fourth grade curriculum as the vision of where we're heading. We can use the Leap Forward scaffolding documents or other local resources to scaffold the learning to prerequisite skills. Emphasize lots of emphasis on students having lots of opportunity to vary their learning or to process their learning by varying the stimulus, varying the thinking, connecting to real world situations. Lots of opportunities for students to engage actively in discussions with each other and with the instructor. Lots of use of computers as much as possible, so students get ample opportunities to interact with content in a variety of ways. And I think one of the things that could be most helpful is being very clear to students when they are scheduled to actually receive this instruction next year. So this may be a unit, we might be able to say to kids, this is going to be a unit that your classmates and you are going to learn in October. We're giving you an early picture of what that's going to look like to help you prepare for that when it comes in October. Or if the unit is scheduled to be taught in January, hey, right after Christmas when you come back, this is the unit that y'all are going to be looking at. Let's do some preparatory work so that when the class gets there, you'll have a little bit of a leg up on it. How can we turn it into a positive to help kids think forwardly about future success? In reading language arts, same notion that we look really at next year's grade level in terms of anchoring our instruction. But I think for reading language arts, it's really simple in terms of what might we focus on during any kind of summer 45-45 services, and it's really about reading and writing, kind of the two components of reading language arts that we look about developing reading comprehension, supporting reading comprehension, and we give kids lots and lots and lots of opportunities to write in response to what they have read. So again, you could use the Leap Forward snapshots to identify on the foundational scaffold skills, really emphasize students on being able to process text based on the genre purpose and reader demands. Lots of opportunities for kids to process and interact as much as possible without grades so that students can participate without fear of failure. We could, during the summer, be very intentional about using cross-curricular texts, some from the prior grade level to reinforce contextual knowledge. Hey, these are things that you've talked about in third grade social studies and third grade science. Let's bring those back and let's look at them from a different lens. It could also be a way to pre-introduce a unit in science or social studies, for example, that's going to be a part of addressed in instruction at the beginning of the 22-23 school year to help kids kind of, again, prepare for that when the 22-23 school year comes. And really recommend lots of opportunities for kids to use keyboards in recording their writing and creating their writing samples. lots of opportunities for computer use. So again, that's just a think through, very quick think through document. Hopefully it's helpful just to perhaps organize thinking about 4545 summer services with a slightly different lens. One of the other things that topics that I think has come up quite a bit in the last week or so is the suggestion that it might be a good idea to prepare a sample letter, or a simple letter, sorry, to send to parents of students who are going to be taking STAR this spring, just reinforcing the assessments that are going to be administered, but also putting parents or notifying parents of the existence of 4545 and the fact that students who fail to perform satisfactorily will be required to participate in supplemental instruction.